All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy.
All right, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill. We are live today. So we've got Daniel, it's not midnight for you. That must be a very new arrangement.
It's perfect time for me today. So,
and did you just pop open a beer?
Of course.
Oh, well, yeah.
A Danish beer, actually.
Oh, Carlsberg.
Carlsberg.
Oh. Yeah. Pish. Yeah, I once went through a crate of Carlsberg on the South China Sea, and everyone was throwing up except me and the Aussies at the back of the boat who were drinking the Carlsberg. All right, we got Ken and Mark as well. We're going to be getting back into the death matches. It's been a while. Where are we at with that? We are currently working our way through the songs in round 2. There are 37 songs that have made it into round 3 already, and this, of course, will be just songs coming out of a hat. Who knows how they're going to match up? The last one, which we did on this, was in October. Was some very weird matchups happened, so it was very fun from that perspective. I want to thank AB for joining us, Opal Archive, Bill Phelps, Gregory Pegg, Wolf of Nature. Before we get into all of that, there are some KISS topics this week. Next week, I'm going to have Volume 3 of On Tour out. I'm just hoping that the last couple of box scores from this last run of dates shows up. I'm missing Montreal, which I don't think we're going to get, but I'm hoping that we get Indy, and I think there's 3 outstanding. Everything else I've already got. They had a really strong run. Just got Saskatoon, and so I think there's one Canadian, one needed. Montreal. Yeah. All right, so that's where we're at with that. I put up on the FAQ and on my Facebook the cover, and I said, which one do you think should be the cover? A, which is, of course, this was a photo taken at the beginning of the End of the Road in Vancouver, where I was that night, versus B, the very last show, the final bow, and this resoundingly won the votes everywhere, and it's the one that I preferred anyway, so that, again, should be out next week. Paperback only. The hardbounds have not done well, so they're really not worth the effort. I may do one in early 2024. And this just concludes the state of KISS touring research to this point. It's going to continue. There's going to be a lot of new stuff found over the coming years. History is all in the past. Still stuff to be uncovered. What else do we have? We've got KISS Online. What do you guys think? All those people who stood in line at the pop-up stores for all that exclusive merch, the vast majority of it, including the golden tickets, which many people are still upset that they didn't get, are available for order. So the big ass banner, it's there. The pennant is not there, which is one of the items that I would love. One thing I did this week, talking about, kind of all this exclusive merch and the reselling of it for outrageous sums on eBay, is I threw up the Final Night litho. I managed to get one from a friend, but I thought they were absolutely disgusting looking. I didn't want that thing anywhere near my wall. So I threw it up there with a $9 starting bid and a buy it now, which was less than all the others. And it sold like that. And I was able to buy the one thing that I didn't manage to get that night because I didn't know about it, which was Eric Singer's gold drumstick signed as well. So what I got for the gouge sale, well, it was not a gouge sale because someone did a buy it now. They didn't have to. They could have easily just bid it from the $9. All went into buying the drumstick. So it was a nice fair trade for me. So I'll be happy to hopefully get those drumsticks today or in a couple of days, whenever. Doesn't matter. I don't play drums, so I don't need them. But Ken, what do you think about the exclusive merch now available from KISS Online?
It didn't surprise me.
No,
because the way those things were snatched up so quickly, I was thinking if they didn't produce that many, KISS, they probably will put it out. So I don't know. I'm surprised they didn't. A lot of that merchandise should have been released earlier in the year. I think it's like, why did they wait to the last minute to make the really cool stuff? because a lot of the stuff wasn't, was so that they were selling, earlier in the tour or year for that matter. Why did they wait so long for it? So there's some really cool stuff. I actually picked up the scarf online when they put it for sale because I thought that was kind of cool. So, but yeah, it sucks, yeah, for the people that waited in line either to not even get anything when they waited in line forever, but for the people that wanted something specifically and they couldn't get it, it sucks. Or they did get it, or I think the worst thing is someone who bought something for extra money and now it's available on Kiss Online for that sort of thing. So anyway, yeah, it kind of sucks, but it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, the scarf was the only item that I was actually interested in other than the pennant, and I just can't be bothered to buy it now. I do feel sorry for people who've paid the markups in various auction sites for that stuff, and they haven't reprinted the tour book. And there were people buying whole cases of those damn things.
That's crazy. Yeah,
to gouge. Come on, it is free market. No one has to pay these things. It would be nice in a perfect world that no one had to pay extra to get stuff, but that's just not the way the world works. Daniel, what do you think about the exclusives becoming not so exclusive?
Well, I'm just fascinated that people care about merchandise from the last show, because no one's going to care about this merchandise in the future. It's the classic 70s merchandise that's going to count. So people are getting ripped off left and right, and people don't have a clue, I think, because, in hindsight, Kiss will be remembered for the 70s, and this was a cool ending, but merchandise from the last show of the last tour, I don't see the point. But I have a hard time understanding some of the collectors, but that's just me. I don't know, people can get whatever they want, but I would put my money on something from the 70s and not this new crap.
Agree. 70s merch or death. Give me.
Yeah.
All right, Mark.
You're not alone, Daniel. You're not alone with thinking that.
There we go.
I don't get it either. I mean, am I surprised? No, because Kiss are just about cash, as we all know. They don't give a shit really about anything else. So as long as they can make extra money, they'll do whatever they can do. I'm just surprised that people haven't clued into that by this point. That's the thing that I find the biggest surprise, is that people are willing to spend $750 for a banner. Are you guys nuts or what? But I mean, seriously, just, and like Daniel said, this stuff is not going to be of any real significance later. I mean, when people talk about the merch, all they seem to talk about is the stuff from the 70s and even the 80s stuff. Yeah. There's a book about the 70s and 80s stuff. I doubt there's going to be a book about 2000 Kiss merch. Come on. I don't think that's going to happen. So, people, I love you guys. You are my brothers and sisters in Kiss. Okay. I had the highest respect for you as lovers of the Kiss music, but really, man, just think for a minute. Why would you spend that much money? Why would you line up for these things when really, at the end of the day, Kiss is going to do exactly what they just did? Let's post it on our online store now. We'll do it at reasonable prices, and people will be happy. Of course, forgetting about all the other people that stood in line for 5 hours for it. But don't be surprised, people. Kiss has been doing this for most of their career. So if you feel upset about it, just look in the mirror.
Yeah, I didn't want to spend all that time standing in line. I would love to say I'm some savant who knew that Kiss was going to do this or have inside information.
Come on.
I had no idea. I just, I was walking there. I bumped into someone. I was going to line up. I wasn't going to spend 3 hours in line, so I went later on in the day, figuring that maybe the line had gone down. But I bumped into someone who, said most of the stuff is done. What I do get in the mail today, actually, is the picks that we mentioned in the last show. So I ordered a set of the gold ones just because they're pretty, and the black one. I think the black ones or the white ones, whatever the ones that are riff back on the 70s ones. So. Nice. A little bit of merch is cool. This is an interesting Siamak. I hope I said your name correctly. You watched the last show via YouTube. Amazing. Thank you very much. What do you think about that animation for God Gave Rock and Roll to You? Kiss 2.0 is that? What do you think? I don't think any of us have enough information yet to really judge it. Daniel and I were just kind of talking about that before the show started. Wait and see what happens and if it appeals to you or not. There's very little information about how the avatars are going to play out. I don't have enough information to know if it's going to resonate with me when something actually does exist. My whole reaction to it is how it went down at the end of the show. What would have been a special moment, the end of the end, and then instead you have that. So it's a buzzkill. What it may become, who knows? What it may allow, again, as Daniel rightfully said, you said, it may allow us to gather, right?
Yeah, and I think the ABBA avatars has gone through the roof over here in Sweden, and people who's been attending the shows are mind blown. I think it's awesome. But on the other hand, the amount of money that ABBA put into the avatars dwarfs the amount Kiss has used, I think. So Kiss needs to really spend a lot of money in order to make it real cool, because ABBA spent like a fortune on the avatars, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it could be cool. Who knows? But not enough information yet to know. And we're all, yeah, exactly.
Well,
let's find out together. We will.
Well, don't forget that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark.
I was just going to say that don't forget, though, too, ABBA, for example, are very smart business people. Besides the music part of it, they invested early on in a lot of things within the market, so they got themselves quite a good, portfolio of stuff that they can.
And they are musical geniuses as well.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So they have the funds to back such a huge endeavor, right? Let's hope that Kiss can do it, and let's hope that they can find maybe some financial backers to maybe not be able to do as big a thing as ABBA, but something, at least decently equal.
ABBA was away for 40 years, and weren't they offered like $1 billion for a
and they
reunion
refused
tour?
it.
And they refused it. So, these are apples and oranges, because ABBA had a universal appeal.
Mm-hmm. True.
That's true. But real quick, I just have to address, it's kind of cool that we have guys from the Middle East attending this live show. So nice to see you, Siamak, or however you pronounce that name, from Iran. My only memory of Iran is I had a student from Iran, and I showed a movie about two men adopting a child, and he was really confused. And I told him, "What's the matter?" Well, in my country, if two men were together, it would be, and he made this throat movement. So we're from different parts of the world, but we all come together when it comes to Kiss.
And music brings us together.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to get into I was just getting very excited because Celtic just lost, which is always a good day for a Rangers
Henrik Larsson, the greatest Celtic player of all time.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just down to Black Cup. What happens in the death matches now is black goes into pink. Take from that what you will, the dirty-minded bastards.
But Julian, real fast, how many songs do we have left? I have no clue.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no clue.
What?
No one knows.
We have this many, Daniel. That's how many are left.
That's
not a whole lot. 20 or so.
I think
there's a lot. There's only 37 that have made it into the third round so far. So, all right, let's see how this is going to go. Are these going to make Daniel happy or Mark sad?
We'll see.
All-American Man. Hoorah!
Ooh.
Okay.
That's a good one.
6 foot hot look.
All-American Man
is up against Tough Love. Paul Stanley versus Paul Stanley.
That's an easy one.
All right, Chuckles. Ken.
All-American Man for me. Tough Love is kind of it's okay song. I just didn't like the if you call that a chorus, stop and say tough. A pause, love. I mean, it's all right, but it's just kind of it's not one of my not one of the better songs, I guess, on Revenge. All-American Man is just great from beginning to end. Hidden gem.
Yeah, Tough Love has a very strong riff, but that's about all it's got.
Daniel?
Well, as
Yeah.
Mark pointed out during the Kiss Riff episode a few weeks back, he mentioned that Paul Stanley often writes songs where the chords are able to breathe sort of during the verses. So you hit a chord and then Paul Stanley fills it up with his great singing. Tough Love, great riff, as you said, but most of the Paul Stanley songs that consist of a great riff aren't that good. He has a problem, singing over a riff. I think he's more comfortable with just a chord or something like that. So I love the riffing on Tough Love. One of my favorite riffs is that diddle little little. Don't I mean it's such a cool song, but the singing really doesn't do it for me, so I have to go with the other one, All American Man.
All right, Mark. This is not going to be difficult for you, is it?
No, I mean the thing is, All American Man, for example, has one of the greatest examples. Since we're talking about riffs, Daniel, as you were just talking about, the sound of that guitar is a great example of a mid-70s Marshall guitar sound. You know, that dan, 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 dan. Like I can totally envision the old Marshall, with jumper cabled and the two channels mixed together, and it just sounds fantastic, that kind of old Marshall sound. And while the other song, Tough Love, has a much more modern production and a more modernistic Marshall tone to it, I have to go with All American Man. I mean, it's just such a great song. It's pretty simple, but that's what makes it strong, I think, and it has some great Bob Kulick leads in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's that sound? Oh, that I can hear Lonnie screaming. All right, so All American Man beats are better.
No.
And where's that comment? Opal Archive, you win the internet today. AI American Man from now on. Very, very good. All right, so All American Man is Sinks the Pink. Next up, Let Me Go Rock and Roll. Going back to the very earliest Kiss.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Think of all these 50th anniversaries that are happening this month from 1973. That we've got the mixing of the first album happening right about now.
Yeah.
They're about to be making their professional debut on New Year's Eve. There really should be a live broadcast on New Year's Eve to celebrate the official birthday of Kiss.
It's a great idea, Julian, but that's why it's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Really? All right, going up against Strutter versus Let Me Go Rock and Roll.
There's
two
a
very, very cocksure anthems from the earliest. They've got swagger. They've both got attitude. One becomes a bit more of a jam. So, Mark, let's start with you on that. Let Me Go Rock and Roll versus Strutter.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I think now to my brother from another mother, Daniel, here, who always refers back to how poorly the recordings of these songs are in these early albums. And while, we've always talked about, Hotter Than Hell being a terrible sounding record, Daniel's not a big fan of the first album as well, with the sound finding it very flat. Both songs are classics in among the catalog, especially when it comes to live versions of these songs. They're definitely high up there, but we're not talking about live. We're talking about studio stuff. So based on that, while I think that Let Me Go Rock and Roll is one of those great live songs that they've done in the early 70s, I think overall as a song, I think Strutter has much more to offer lyrically, musically. Because if you think about it, Let Me Go Rock and Roll, it's just a pretty basic 12-bar sort of song, with just a couple added little riffs in there. There's nothing to it. I mean, I'm sure me and Daniel on our riffs thing could actually probably play the whole song in its entirety. In each one, me playing the lead, Daniel doing the rhythm, we could probably play the whole song. It's so simple, right? So, but I definitely think that Strutter is a little bit more, has more meat to it. And I think it's just overall a better song, I think. So I'm going to go with Strutter.
Okay. Ken.
Yeah, since we're not talking live, I guess I have to go with Strutter. I mean, the great first album, first song, lead-off song, great, Stonesy type, written song. I always like it when I hear it. But I mean, Let Me Go Rock and Roll is so. I really like that one too. But the studio version is kind of short and to the point, and not. I think it needed more time on like the live version, basically. So I have to go with Strutter.
It's
All right,
classic,
Daniel.
of course.
I think it's kind of interesting. Mark and me keep referring to the riff show, and I think both these songs they have cool riffs in them. But when you look at the studio version of Let Me Go Rock and Roll, it's really subpar. Is it really a song? How long is it? Like 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
I mean, it's
2 minutes 15, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
it's an idea of a song. It wasn't really perfected, but it was a good idea. And live they did that whole rocking thing.
Yeah, they extended it.
Right.
That's the cool part. But on the studio version, it doesn't exist. And the studio version of Let Me Go is pretty subpar for me. I voted against it in previous rounds, but you guys put it through, and hopefully now it dies. So I go for Strutter.
Jeez.
Okay, so Let Me Go Rock and Roll is like part of a trilogy. Life in the Woods, Acrobat. They were all early songs that had jammy sections that allowed them to stretch out their concert sets by having these extended jams. But Let Me Go Rock and Roll, or Baby Let Me Go as it was originally, was just the one that survived longest out of those three. So I want to do a quick sidebar. What's your favorite version of Strutter? Is it the demo, the 73 first album, or the Alive, or Strutter 78? Which of those four is your favorite version of Strutter, Ken?
I'm going to say the demo version of Strutter.
Yes.
It's going to be my favorite.
I knew
Yes.
you were a smart man. I knew it. Mark.
I got to go with the Alive version. I always thought that had a lot of meat and balls to it. The only thing I don't like about the demo version is that there's some extra like lead stuff in there that, while it's different and interesting, but it always kind of jolts me. Like I'm not used to it,
Mm.
Yeah, you know what? I'm 73 demo, but I cannot hear that intro drum. It's got a drum riff in it. Come on,
Yeah.
that's a drum riff that starts
Yeah,
off.
people can identify it right away.
Yeah, I just love that part because then you know what's coming, and you're going to be kind of having that 73 New York City vibe going in your walk. And again, a Cutting Room with Peter Criss when he did it with horns. Holy shit, different beast. Daniel, which one of the four?
Well, you guys missed the best one. It's the audio, the audio that was featured in that live segment from Tokyo '95. You could donate some money and you can listen to
the
a
Dial Q2.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they played it in Tokyo in January '95. That's my favorite version, actually. I know they sold like a tape of it.
They do. I've got the tape.
Promo.
I'm not going to go get it, but there was a promotional set issue.
That's actually my favorite version. A little bit on the heavier side, and great singing from Paul, and Eric Singer brings us on the drums.
Well, I was keeping it to the originals, but there you go. Daniel's spoken. All right, let's get back into the death matches. Next lineup is Ladies' Room. Ken's like, yes, it's going to win. All right, what's it going
I don't
against? Oh, Gene's got to go up against God of Thunder. These don't get any easier now, and this is just a this or that. It's Ladies' Room versus God of Thunder. Let's start with Daniel.
God of Thunder is such a classic, and I think it was one of the better songs performed live on this last show. I really love the performance during the last show, and when I saw them live earlier this summer, I was blown away by the performance of God of Thunder, and I've always liked it. I liked it with the non-makeup era, in '94 when they played it in South America. The other song never really was a favorite of mine, at least. So God of Thunder is probably top 10 for me. So I hope God of Thunder makes it through a few more rounds. So God of Thunder.
All right, Mark, you've been summoned. God of Thunder versus
The
Ladies Room.
Destroyer version.
Well, I think my friend there is CMAC. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. CMAC. This is for you, buddy. Okay, because you know what's coming. Because, as I said before, there's live versions and there's studio versions, and I've always said this before. A lot of the songs that Kiss do live sound substantially better than the studio versions. If there's a great example of this, it's got to be God of Thunder. Live, it's always been such a classic moment. The blood, later on he would go up into the rafters and sing it, and it was such an ominous part of the show. On the album, it's the most annoying piece of crap that I've ever heard, ever. Why would you have all these kids in it? I'm talking on CBs back and forth, and it's just so crud.
Scary. It's Damien.
That is not scary. Little children are not scary. Okay.
Oh yes, there are.
And it sounds very, very.
Like, a classroom of them is.
It just, I can imagine, Danny. You must not like a whole classroom of them screaming, right? But
not in my classroom.
But honestly, I'm a big fan of Rock and Roll Over. As everybody knows, it's my favorite album of all time, and anything from that album, in my opinion, will have an instant leg up. And I mean, especially if you're going to compete with something from Destroyer, it's no contest. Ladies Room is a definitely much better song, in my opinion, than the studio version of God of Thunder. Crap, I'm going for Ladies Room.
All right. Well, we've actually got one which isn't unanimous now, which makes life more interesting. And since my vote doesn't count today, I just want to say that these are two songs that the live versions are way better than the studio versions for each of them. The Alive 2 version of Ladies Room and the Alive 2 version of God of Thunder. They're both, for my taste, superior than the studio recordings. Daniel, break the tie, break some hearts.
Didn't I just say that God of Thunder was the best song?
Yeah.
I didn't vote yet.
It was Ken who didn't vote.
I'm writing.
Do I get two? Julian, do I get two votes?
No, you don't get two votes.
All right, then we got to go to Ken.
I can't say tie either, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is very tough because I love my Gene songs and Gene tunes and God of Thunder. But the studio version, I didn't like the studio version so much of. It's always the Live 2 version for me because I thought the studio version dragged, even though it's a great song. I kind of agree with Mark that it kind of, some of that stuff drug it down and the extra little things they put in there. So I'm going to go with Ladies Room.
Wow.
And the Ladies Room Rock and Roll Over version, I like it better than the live version. That's one of those ones. Yeah, I'd rather have the studio version of Ladies Room over the live version.
Interesting.
I think we need a press release. The Kiss FAQ hates God of Thunder.
Very, very raw. That's for sure.
All right.
Daniel's going to be just absolutely heartbroken.
What?
He's going
Ladies
to
Room.
be absolutely heartbroken because God of Thunder is out.
Ken.
How could you?
I'm sorry. We're basing it on the studio version.
I think I got a small heart attack.
All right. So this
That's the
next
only
round
reason.
is going to be much easier.
Jeez.
Kissin' time, or as the Swedes would say, pissin' time.
Paul said that.
Up against Ace. Talk to me. All right. Talk to me versus Kissin' time. We're starting with Ken on that one.
Yeah, Kissin' Time. It's a nice cover. They made it Kiss style, but I have to. I don't know. That's a tough one. Now I'm thinking.
You really gonna have to think about that?
Yeah, because it's not so bad.
Yeah, be honest, Ken.
I know. I'm being honest. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Kissin' Time, actually, over Talk to Me. I think Talk to Me is not a great one of Ace's better songs. His whole solo album's better than that. Every song from that. So I think it's not one of Ace's better songs. Talk to Me. I like it. I don't hate it, but I kind of like Kissin' Time because it sounds so Kiss. I mean, they made it their own song. It really did. And I like where they all get vocals on that song too, which is kind of unique, other than that, that later on when they tried it on Psycho Circus, and that didn't work too well. But yeah, I'll go with Kissin' Time.
That's a really weird sound, that recording. It's almost, since it's a separate session to Hotter Than Hell, it's closer in sonics to Hotter Than Hell than it is to the first.
Kind of in between, right?
Yeah. So it was clear that those two were losing the plot in terms of Kiss's sound. All right, Mark, Kissin' Time, talk to me.
Yeah, it's interesting because it does have a weird sound at Kissin' Time, that at the beginning. It almost sounds like some nasally bass there, but it's interesting. I think what Kissin' Time has for it is definitely the vocals. I mean, the singing in that is really well done. It has some great Gene singing, some great Peter Chris in there too, for sure. But I have to be honest, okay? My leaf for today is, I'm going to be totally honest here, is that I think that Talk to Me is going to be the winner for me, because I think Ace was really on a roll at this time, and he was feeling strong about his songwriting. And Talk to Me, while it's not, it's not Rip It Out or any of his gold standard stuff, but I definitely think it's a well-written song. It's catchy. And I mean, look at when they played on the Farewell Tour, 2001, I thought it was really good how they played it when Eric was in the band with them at the time. And just a great song. Yeah, well, okay, I'm saying that I liked it when they did that there, but even on the studio album, I think that the studio album version of that is fantastic as well. I think that Ace did a great job singing and great job playing guitar on that stuff. I really do love that time period. And I've always been a big supporter of Unmasked, as you know.
Yeah, you have.
So you're ready for Talk to Me?
Yeah,
yes,
Talk to Me. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure, because I'm completely losing the plot today. So just like every other show, really. Daniel, all right.
Well, I think I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. Two turds, which one to choose from?
Aerosmith.
Two turds, which one to choose from? That's also a song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Two sides of the coin. Yeah. So, well, I would rather have 10,000 volts on Unmasked than Talk to Me. I think Talk to Me is quite a boring song. Ace was never the lyricist, but boring. This time he really hit it out of the park at being a bad lyricist. Oh, Mark. Sorry, that wasn't me, you guys out there. That was
we have to have one.
Barfer.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Kissin' Time is a cover, but I do think Kissin' Time is a more listenable song. One that I might go back and listen to a few times. The other one, I really don't care about. I think it's a half-assed Ace song, one of his worst ones. So I have to go with Kissin' Time, but I hope Kissin' Time is going out the next round.
God, I hope people forgive us for this one. God.
I'm not going to forgive you for putting the banner over our Mark's and my name. I can't believe you.
I have no power.
See that, Mark? See what he did?
I know.
I know.
Fine. Then none of us can have banners because Ken isn't happy. All right. So Talk to Me is out. All right.
Wow. Kissin' Time moves on.
I think he's just bitter about the whole God of Thunder.
All right.
This is a good one.
Let's see.
Turd to Me.
Turd to Me.
One of Julian's favorite songs, Shandy.
Uh-oh.
Oh, boy.
Versus, please.
Probably the easy one.
All for the Glory.
Oh.
Well, one of the better songs off of the later albums.
Mark, All for the Glory versus Shandy.
Wow.
You know what? I think that this to me is going to be kind of simple, because since I've always said I've been a big fan of Unmasked, but the thing is here, if there's one thing about Unmasked that I don't like, and I'll be honest here, in that when I've had it on CD, I've skipped it, and I've had it on vinyl, I've bounced it over on Shandy. I've never liked Shandy, and just even that intro drum part, do 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 do. That it's so very disco-ish, that intro drum riff, and the fact that Anton left his snares on when he did that drum roll is very amateur. Anton, why wouldn't you have just turned your snares off on the drum there when he did that? God, you can hear the snares rattling on the tom roll. Come on, Anton, that's amateur night. But
Isn't
that
Vinny's fault as producer?
Well, yeah, he could be partially to blame as well. Very, very well pointed out there, Julian. I commend you for that well put out fact there. But I do love Eric Singer, and I've been a big fan of his songs that he's been on the records that he's done, both on Sonic Boom and Monster. So All for the Glory, I think, is going to go have my vote, because I think that when he has a chance to sing on a record, I think he gives it his all. He does a great job, in my opinion, and I love his singing. I love his voice. So I'd rather hear that than Shandy any time of the week.
Yes, I like you, Mark.
Thank you. I like you too,
Daniel.
I think it was a cool thing Kiss did on the later albums, that they tried to include all members singing again, like they did back in the day. Eric Carr had a lot of opportunities, had a lot of songs that were pretty good, but he never really got the chance. He sang that, song on Hot in the Shade, one of the worst songs ever recorded by Kiss. Yeah. But he had a lot of great songs, but he never got the opportunity. So I always thought it was kind of cool of Gene and Paul to let Eric and Tommy have their own songs. And I really like both of the Eric Singer songs, this one and the other one from Sonic Boom. So this one is probably one of my second favorite of that album. So I'll vote for the Eric Singer song all the way.
Very nice.
Yes. Before I get to Ken, Bill asked, how did Shandy get through? It beat Wall of Sound.
Yes.
Yeah, I do keep track of this stuff. So, Ken, your vote doesn't count. So,
yeah, it doesn't count. It's a toss-up for me, but I'll go with the all for the Love of Rock and Roll. I mean, that's more Kiss than Shandy. Shandy's kind of like a solo Paul song.
You mean All for the Glory, you mean?
All for the Glory of Rock and Roll, sorry, yes.
Do we have any Australians watching at the moment while we do this? Are you guys sick of Shandy yet? Because you're the guys who've had to suffer it every single tour.
Yeah.
That's
you liked it the best.
Yeah.
But then they also voted as like a top 10 song in there, that side of the woods.
I like it down there.
It got
Well,
pretty high
wasn't it number one in Norway, or is that whatever? Or was that I Was Made for Loving You? I can't remember. All right, moving on. All for the Glory. I must say, I'm very pleased because I don't like Shandy, never had, but it's also good to see Eric Singer love.
Oh, excuse me. God.
All right, Mark.
Hey,
sorry, I had a tough
There is
breakfast.
a mute button.
The voice of reason and
But
the
that came out of nowhere. I was not prepared for that one.
All right, Exciter. Vinnie Vincent. Lead off track from Lick It Up, one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, love it.
Is going up against Time Traveler.
Time Traveler?
How did Time Traveler even get
How did
in
that
here?
get on there?
Box set?
Oh, remember, it's from the box set. So what did it be?
Wow,
Okay.
I don't even know how it got this far.
Yeah.
I know I did vote for it.
Daniel, starting with you on that.
I actually like both songs. I just have to mention that one of my pals, he plays drums in a band called Crazy Licks, made a cover of one of the Paul Stanley demos from '87, Sword and Stone. I don't know if you guys have heard that one by Crazy Licks. Go out there and go and check it out. It sounds pretty cool. So I liked a lot of the songs that Paul Stanley did on that demo tape. Sword and Stone was my favorite. Time Traveler, pretty good as well.
Best Man for You.
Best from not that much, but those two really stood out to me. And Time Traveler, I sure as hell would have taken it over Bang Bang You or something like that. I think Ron Nevison dropped the ball somewhat when he picked the songs for Crazy Nights. It could have been even better. So Time Traveler to me is a good song, and the other one was
Exciter.
Exciter. Well, against Exciter, it doesn't really stand a chance. If you go and listen to the Kiss Riff episode, you can hear Mark's take on Exciter. The intro is such a cool thing
I love that
with the
riff.
flanger thing going on there, and Paul Stanley singing on the chorus during the verses, and it's such an up tempo. And the first song of a Kiss album is always a great song, and this is one of them. So Exciter for me.
Yeah, I could just listen to the instrumental of Exciter over and
Yeah.
over and over. I
The
love
Lick It Up
that.
demos are pretty cool.
Yeah. Mark.
Well, just like Daniel said, we had that fantastic riff episode that we did, and I chose Exciter as one of my songs for that. And I have to say, it is definitely a very strong song. I mean, I loved playing that little flanger part at the beginning when he does that harmonic run down the string there. It's just really cool idea that he did on that. And I've always thought that it was one of their stronger opening tracks. I mean, Lick It Up is a good record. And it starts off with a bang with Exciter. So to me, there really is no competition. I mean, I am a fan of Time Traveler. Don't get me wrong. I think that it is one of the more interesting unreleased songs that they did, like, or a song that they never put on an album proper. And you know, it's so keyboard heavy, and the drum machine is very interesting. The sort of pattern that he used for that whole song for it, but. You know, again, just like Daniel said, you can't compare Time Traveler demo to a classic like Exciter. So Exciter it is.
Ken.
Yeah, the rumor is Kiss is going to use Time Traveler for the first single for their AI thing. No, they're
What?
no, I'm joking. Yeah. Exciter all the way. Just, you know, I just remember, you know, putting Lick It Up. I think I had the cassette first, actually, a few days before the release, and the guy gave me, and I heard that. I was like, wow, what the heck? This is so good. It was like, I can't believe this, you know, even after Creatures, like, holy, they're like, Kiss is on fire on this song. So, yeah, Exciter for me. Time Traveler is just blah for me.
Yeah, I was so disappointed when they put that on the box set versus Sword and Stone, or a good song. It's like Best Man for You. It's like Body and Soul. It's just blah. It's one of Mark's belches to me. There we go.
Blah.
Hey.
Yeah, that's a good illustration of what I think about it.
True.
Hey.
And it's a fresh visual. All right.
Do you use that A phrase, Mark, like Canadians do? Do you use that one? Do you use
Yeah,
that
I've used
one?
it. I've used it quite a bit. Yeah.
Hey.
It's not a myth.
Well, that's
Not the
Fonz.
Fonz.
Oh.
All right. Next up, all right, good Exciter is, and Opal Archive, of course, it was the first song of Kiss out of makeup. All right. War Machine.
Oh Lord, come on now, guys.
Can we please try not to screw this one up?
Okay.
Let's see.
Can't screw that up.
Unholy.
Oh no!
Oh, here we go.
Ken, why did you have to say that? Can't screw this up. Unholy versus War Machine.
Jinxed it.
Oh
Lord.
All right.
I don't know.
Ken gets to go first on that.
That's fine.
Gene versus Gene.
To his best.
I'd rather hear, even though I've heard it so much live and otherwise, and I would rather hear War Machine over Unholy. Even though I think Unholy is a great song, a great comeback for Kiss and for Gene at that time period. It just doesn't stick with me like War Machine does. So I got to go with War Machine. I just always loved War Machine from the very first time I heard that one on Creatures. So, and Unholy, yeah, it was great. It was a great comeback, great song, but it's just not as good as War Machine for me. It's just that riff in War Machine is just perfect. Just the whole feel of it.
War Machine. Daniel.
This was really hard. I think War Machine is probably one of my absolute Gene favorites from the 80s. And Unholy is his best song from the 90s by far. Both are great. Both studio versions are awesome. It's almost like it's a tie.
You can't do that. I can only do ties. You cannot.
Oh, it's so hard, but
This is one of the best matchups to have because it really is two heavyweights that belong going head to head. I mean, that is just not going to happen very much in a completely random.
it would
setup.
have been easy if it would have been the live versions, because War Machine translates so much better live than Unholy.
Yeah.
But the studio versions are, to me, 10 out of 10, both of them. But just to make it interesting, I'll go
God.
Unholy.
So, in other words, you're passing the buck to Mark to make the
Yes.
decision. Okay. Mark.
Julian, I'm going to say that the quote you said earlier is exactly right for this. This is a heavyweight championship. This is like Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior back in the day.
No, Ali versus Fraser. That
Forget those
crappy
guys.
wrestling thing is
Forget that crap.
fake shit.
It's also
Down
like
goes
Kenny
Fraser.
Omega versus Kuchika Okada in the New Japan Pro Wrestling days.
Lord. Oh,
Okay, this is a heavyweight match. Thousands of
Undertaker.
people on the edge of their seat watching. Now, both songs have fantastic riffs. Both songs have stellar production. I mean, this is really a difficult thing because I've always said that Creatures of the Night are one of my favorite sounding records, but you would think that because Bob Ezrin's fingerprints are on Revenge that I would say something bad against this, but I have to say Unholy is such a great song, and this time Bob got it right on a song. The production of this is great. The lead guitar playing on this is fantastic. The singing, I think, is Gene's at his best for both of them. But I have to say, when I heard both songs, and I think back to my earliest listens of them, when I heard War Machine, I loved it from first listen. I thought it was fantastic. But when I heard Unholy the very first time, it completely shocked me that it was Kiss. So I have to go with Unholy. Unholy is the more standout song, in my opinion. It has everything that I want as a guitar player. It has Bruce Kulick at his strongest as a lead player as well. And I mean, I know it's not relevant to this, but that video is just amazing for this song. So everything was right with this song.
Yeah, it's hard. What an episode. And War Machine and God of Thunder get axed in the same episode. Oh my lord.
I mean, who would think that? Especially, that's got to be one of the worst matchups. I mean,
That's a travesty.
That's like choosing which one of your children to throw into the volcano. I mean, all right. I would have gone War Machine, but just because
it's a close call.
Daniel would have went War Machine.
Yeah, it's like which one of these songs are they performing live on the End of the Road tour? To me, you know.
Yeah,
so,
but it's the studio version.
Yeah, we're not talking about
version.
I know that, but as
version.
they're picking it as a song,
as a classic.
They can't perform.
A great
on
classic Kiss song.
They can't perform on Howl. Never could.
Yeah.
But then again, War Machine is externally sourced as well. So
War Machine is great as well. Yeah.
all right, Tears Are Falling.
Oh,
Come on. Not Heaven's on Fire or something.
Oh, fuck off. Who Wants to Be Lonely versus Tears Are Falling.
Oh no.
This is like a rabbit mom eating her babies
no.
too. All right, who gets to go first on this? Daniel, it's got to be you.
This is so hard. I love both songs.
It's not hard.
Tears Are Falling, of course, is more of a classic. Who Wants to Be Lonely is a hidden gem. Both have great guitar licks, great singing. great. This is too hard.
I know this is crazy.
But I have to
Not
think,
that hard.
which one would I?
You're
I
not
mean,
an
Tears Are
Asylum
Falling.
man.
You've heard that a lot. You might be a bit
true.
tired of it, but I can't go against Tears Are Falling. And once again, I'm a bit influenced by the video when I saw it the first time. Even though I know we talk about the studio versions, but when I saw that video and heard the song the first time, I remember it vividly. Back in '85, that was one of the reasons why I became a Kiss fan. So I have to vote for Tears Are Falling, even though both these songs are really standouts. So Tears Are Falling for me.
Tears. There's tears for me right now, man. Tears. Weeping silently here.
Either way.
Ken?
Well, it's pretty easy, like I said, for me. Tears Are Falling for me. First song I remember I heard it on the radio actually before I got the album. I didn't even know it was Kiss at the beginning, but I said, that sounds like Kiss. Is that Kiss? And then, yeah, it was Kiss. Who Wants to Be Lonely is okay. It to me, nowadays it sounds, very dated to me, more so, than some of their stuff. Even Tears Are Falling, it sounds more, doesn't sound dated to me. So Tears Are Falling, just a great song, great song. Yeah, it doesn't go crazy or rock out or anything like that, but it's a great written tune.
Yeah. Such a shame that it didn't do better as a single, and that Who Wants to Be Lonely was never released as one either, other than in Japan. All right, Mark.
Well, I mean, for me, it is extremely difficult because Asylum is my favorite non-makeup album, and I love both songs. Like, just they're both to me stellar. I mean, the songwriting on both of them are totally top tier. But I have to agree, though, that I think that Tears Are Falling is one of those songs where if you were new to Kiss, if you saw them for the first time and that was your introduction to it, I think that you would get pulled in by that video, by everything, that the playing of it. Oh, what's the hand for?
Yeah, it happened to me.
Oh,
exactly
okay.
That.
Me as well.
Yeah, and I think also the thing that Tears has the advantage of it, I think it has the better guitar solo, in my opinion. I think the fact, and I think Bruce Kulick brought this up as well, that the fact that they gave him almost a minute of time to do a guitar solo showed how much they liked his guitar playing. And, again, we'll refer back to the riff episode. I did play this one as well on there, and I've always thought that it was a great riff. I mean, and I've gone back again to my example of Paul having a better time singing over recording than riffing, right?
Okay, hold up. Julian is typing.
Sorry.
Oh.
One of those again.
It'll be a recap video for 600 episodes.
Exactly.
All right, so Tears Are Falling, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into a 10-minute monologue about how it made me a fan. Everyone knows this is the song that made me a fan, but God damn it, that's a
Great
really
song.
brutal.
Great song.
That's a really brutal matchup.
Two brutal matchups.
Can we have some easy ones for the final?
Yes,
couple of
please.
picks? Yeah. 2 more we'll do today. All right, so these 2. It's going to be...
Shadow is snoring,
Jesus
I think.
Christ. God gave rock and roll to you, too.
Okay.
So another revenge song.
The avatars now.
An Avatar song.
Could be a video.
Versus
Future.
Love Her All I Can. One of my favorite Kiss riffs to play.
Yeah,
when we were jamming in New York City after the second show, that was one I was trying to get through. But there we go. God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too versus Love Her All I Can. Let's start with Ken.
Did you say Love Her All I Can or can?
Hey, however, whatever works for you, Ken.
Yeah, I know. Love Her All I Can wins for me. Great written, catchy song. Decent, clear production there, of course, from Dressed to Kill. So, the other one. What was the other one? See, I already forgot.
God gave.
God gave rock and roll to you.
God gave. Which is an Argent song they retooled and stuff, which I like. I do like that song, but it doesn't feel total Kiss.
Got a bunch of sarcastic fans in the chat today.
The Avatar song wins for them. But
Awesome, guys.
Love Her All I Can is great, written, well played, just classic Kiss. I mean, how are you going to beat that? You can't.
Mark.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you over. I
Come back
didn't hear
into
you
the
over.
light.
Don't fall asleep like
No,
you
no,
did
I didn't
last
hear you
episode.
over. I didn't hear you over Shadow here. Making all that noise.
Yeah.
Shadow, keep it down.
Yeah. So, Dressed to Kill, Shadow, shush. Dressed to Kill is one of those records I've always adored. From the first 3 records that they put out, I've always thought that was the one that they did their best job on. They were under heavy pressure, and I think though that Bogart really got a great sound on that record compared to the other ones. That song is so upbeat, catchy. You can't help but have your foot stomp whenever you hear it. God Gave Rock and Roll to You is a song that I liked. It was the tester for Mr. Ezrin to come back into the band. He seemed to do a decent enough job to get him back in full time with them. And it has a sentimental value, as it does have the last appearance of Mr. Eric Carr on recording with them. So that does have something to do with it as well. But I have to go with Love Her All I Can. It's such a great song. And it is power pop at its finest, a la Kiss.
Okay, Daniel.
2 great songs, but as Julian said, I Love Her All I Can is one of his favorite riffs. And Jeffrey Dave, he said that he loved the riff episode. So we want Julian on the next riff episode playing Love Her All I Can. And we also want the silver tongue of Ken singing Love Her All I Can.
You don't want that.
That would be real cool. That would be the greatest episode ever. So we'll see whatever happens with that. But it's such a hard matchup. I like both songs. Love Her All I Can is just a great riff. Early Kiss, very simple song.
Late Raspberries, early Kiss.
Yeah. But God Gave Rock and Roll to You was such a comeback for Kiss. People talk about Unholy being the comeback, but really it started with God Gave Rock and Roll to You. Also, once again, a great video. The song sounds so much better than the previous record. When you got Hot in the Shed, you were thinking this might be the end. I mean, they've dropped the ball completely. And then that single came out on that soundtrack from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, an awful movie. But that song, there's a reason why they play it at the end of all shows. Even though I don't agree with that God Gave Rock and Roll to Me, I found myself. I think the song in its how it's constructed, great solo, and yeah, it's a cover. But if you listen to the original, there's really no comparison. I mean, Kiss's version is way better than the original. Yeah. So this is probably my favorite Kiss cover of all time. Maybe the one on Destroyer is pretty good, King of the Nighttime World, but I think this takes the cake. So I'll give one vote to God Gave, even though it's out of the competition.
Yeah, that's a shame, but it was a hit in England or Britain.
Number 4.
Yep, but Love Her All I Can. Again, it's a guitar reach song for me. So I do love God Gave Rock and Roll to You at the end of a show, because it's just a reminder that music is a gift, and it's a gift to be shared and to be enjoyed and to bring us together. It really is good. Avatar kind of use of it right now is sours me on it, but again, we don't have enough information about what's going to happen. Let's move on to see if we can get a couple more, and because there's still a lot of songs to get through. Take Me versus
That's a good one.
Saint and Sinner.
Sure.
Easy.
Oh boy,
this is not easy for me.
For
but
me,
I'm not voting today since Lonnie's not here, and my vote, I'm not needed. So we are going to start with you, Daniel, on that.
Take Me all the way. I mean, Take Me is such a great song. One of my favorites of Rock and Roll Over. simple once again, but true Kiss song. If I think about Kiss from the 70s, this is one of the songs that pop up in my mind. That riff, and the lyrics as well, totally Kiss in the 70s. And you know, put your hand in my pocket and all that kind of stuff.
Grab hold
It was
of my
way.
rocket.
I didn't understand anything of that when I heard it the first time, but I think it's pretty funny.
Who the fuck's
And,
the seal?
Such a fun song, such a fun song to play, such a great song. Unfortunately, it's not been done a whole lot live. I recently read Julian's book, you know, Kiss, those thick ones, the second one.
Which thick ones? They're all thick.
You have three versions. The one you showed in the beginning, Kiss on Tour.
Kiss album.
The
Yeah.
live on
Oh,
tour.
okay.
Kiss on Tour. I have the second one in my bathroom, so I flicker through it
bathroom, huh?
every day. And I'm now at
What's
the
the first?
reunion era. And actually, they played "Take Me" a few times on the reunion era, according to Julian Gill. So
They did.
They didn't. Yep, they didn't play it in Sweden when I saw them live, but I would have wished they'd played it more because it's a great song, and I think it translates great live as well. A quick, cool song. So take me from me.
Ken.
Yeah, I hate to do this to a Gene song because I love that song because it's not
Things in it.
atypical. It's not atypical of a Gene song. It's really cool though, really cool. Love the song, but "Take Me" is just a classic, great song off of Rock and Roll Over. So I have to go with "Take Me." Yeah, I just
Yeah,
have to.
Andrew's right. Just
Unfortunately.
pure rock and roll. Great song.
Yeah, it is.
It's a tough matchup because Saint and Sinner is a really cool tune, but does it hold
Yeah.
a candle to Take Me? Mark,
Yeah.
does it?
No, I mean, "Take Me" is a great song. I've always loved that song as well. And again, my favorite album, so it's going to have some, you know, extra leverage because of that. But I mean, I'll never forget though. A shout out to Podcast when they did their little Devereaux's laboratory segment there, where they were talking about this song in particular, and they played just the drum track alone of Eric Carr playing this song. I was like, wow, it was like incredible to hear him play it by himself, and that made me go back and re-listen to that album because of that. So props to Podcast for that. But, you know, "Take Me" is such a great song, and it's to the point, and it's over in under 3 minutes, and it's just fantastic.
What do you think, guys? Should we do a few more?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
All right.
Do it.
Sounds good to me. I just have to turn the page. So, all right. "Take Me" is through. I'm really happy with that because it's a really super fun song. It actually is another good reach for a guitar, just pure rock and roll riffing. So, all right. Next up is going to be Killer. Got a lot of Creature stuff coming out of the hat today, but that's just the way it goes.
With a Gene.
Killer. Bitch is insane. She deals in pain. Versus no. Oh, this is going to be quick. Mark, start us off.
2 Gene songs.
Okay,
Yeah.
so No is one of those songs where you think as a guitar player, I would give it a full props because it's a song that has a guitar solo in it. You know, right at the very top with Mr. Carr doing the old double kick action there. But I have to say, "Killer" is a song that I always loved off of Creatures of the Night. I thought it was a really interesting written song. I love that little backward keyboard at the beginning. And you know, this Creatures of the Night has the one advantage where sonically it's so well done. Gene Simmons' bass has never sounded better, even though he didn't play most of the bass on that album. But the sound of the bass guitar on this album is so good. And again, the playing is really well done. And I have to go with Killer. It's just much better song than No.
I like No live. It's a really good jam song, but since this is studio, as we're always reminded, Ken, Killer. No.
No. Yes. I like No a lot more now these days than I did back then. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but I like it. I appreciate it a lot more now. But I like Killer better. I think Killer's a really another cool song that was kind of different again. Nothing sounds the same. Gene usually writes different things and different kinds of songs. So, but it's a cool one, and I do like it. I like the Creatures production of it, and it's really cool. I just, it's going to win for me.
Yeah, all that great Vinnie Vincent's lyrical stamp over
Killer
is just what he brought to the picture, was kind of that new way of looking at lyrics, and some very interesting ways as well with those. Daniel,
before we get to Daniel, 1 second. Before we get to that, I have to ask Julian something really quickly. Do you think that Vinnie Vincent's contribution was more important lyrically or musically?
I think musically for Paul and lyrically for Gene.
Okay.
With each of the guys that he worked with, because I think he had some very useful musical ideas that Paul could play off. Paul didn't need much help in terms of lyrics, whereas Gene's shit, just listen to any of those demos. They really need a little bit of a refinement and a little bit of a kick in the pants. Daniel.
Yeah, I just wished that Vinnie Vincent would have brought some lyrics to the Animalize album for Gene Simmons. He sure as hell needed it. So that's a downer. I think Animalize could have been such a great record if Vinnie would have stuck around for one more record. Action and Creatures, he only co-wrote 3 songs, I think. I Still Love You, I Love It Loud, and Killer. Great lyrics to all of them, of course. Killer is a cool song. I think I would put it below I Love It Loud and I Still Love You, but it's a cool song, a simple riff, great vocals, of course, and let's put it through to the next round.
Nice. I like that. All right. Next matchup is another one off Asylum. King of the Mountain.
Yeah,
versus
that's a good one.
Mainline.
Mainline.
So another early, very rock and rolly song.
Filler versus an opener, yeah.
Hey.
Daniel, start us off.
Yeah, it's actually a filler versus an opener. So of course I'll put the opener through. Even though Mainline is an early Kiss song, it doesn't stand a chance against King of the Mountain. King of the Mountain is one of those songs that didn't get played a whole lot live, even though it would have translated great, I think. That's my favorite song off of Asylum, King of the Mountain. Such a great song, and I love how they allowed Eric to start it off with, he's doing some drum fills in the beginning. Yeah, warm up that they kept, much like they did on the previous album on Animalize, when Paul did the yodeling stuff for Heavens on Fire, and they kept it. So sometimes you find magic if you listen carefully. So King of the Mountain, cool start of the song, cool riff, and of course the awesome singing of Paul Stanley at the height of his power. So King of the Mountain, and I'm hoping for King of the Mountain to go through a few more rounds.
What a great anthem as well. An uplifting, positive song.
Yeah, the lyrics are cool.
And I'm not going to follow up on your comments of sometimes you find magic, because I just don't want to go there today. Ken, Mainline versus King of the Mountain.
Yeah, I have to go with King of the Mountain. I mean, It's a great rock and roll song. Mainline is good. I like it okay, but it's not something I would, go look for and like, I need to hear Mainline today or something. It just, it's just a good song. Not great. King of the Mountain's better.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, this is a no-brainer. I mean, I remember getting Bruce Kulick's guitar riff, guitar lessons video that he did back in the day, and the opening lesson segment was the guitar introduction solo for King of the Mountain. So I was always like, interested in this song right from the beginning. And I mean, again, this is my favorite album for non-makeup Kiss, and to start it with Eric Carr just blasting away on those drums, and I'll never forget pulling on my Canadian made, Asylum on cassette and putting it into my car and listening to it and just being overwhelmed by how fantastic that song was and how great that whole album was. So again, what a great way to start an album, and it must go through King of the Mountain.
Yeah, you have to remember, I became a fan because of the 3 videos from Asylum, which King of the Mountain wasn't one of those. When I bought Asylum down at Kmart on my birthday in December 1985 and put that in the tape deck and heard this, deal was sealed on hearing that song come blasting through. What a great opening song. All right. See how long we've been going. Yeah, a couple more. Almost Human versus... And Ken's going to start this one off. 1,000,000 to 1.
And the Avatar is going to start off.
All right, Avatar Ken. Almost Human, 1,000,000 to 1.
Almost Human and 1,000,000 to... Oh, my God. This is very...
Apples and oranges.
I got to go with Almost Human because I love that song. I've always loved it. Great song. Kind of eerie in a way. Just like the theme of it. Classic Love Gun. 1,000,000 to 1. I do love that song. I think it's a great kind of power ballad on Look It Up. But Almost Human, I'd rather listen to a little bit more than 1,000,000 to 1. Both great songs, though.
Yeah. Almost Human has a lot of character, doesn't it? And fits in with Gene. Mark, 1,000,000 to 1 or Almost Human?
Well, these are both songs from albums that are, very good. And I've always said before when on Love Gun, there's a few songs I didn't like as much. Let's start with 1,000,000 to 1, though. I think it's Paul Stanley's best power ballad type song that he's ever written ever. I mean, 1,000,000 to 1 has such a great chorus to it. The guitar playing at the top and like throughout the whole song. It's such a great part overall, like that kind of arpeggiated chord distorted underneath there. It just sounds really well done. And Paul, I mean, his singing is a thing that really brings it home to me. And while I like Almost Human, I can understand, the how Ken said has that kind of eerie vibe to it. But as soon as you start putting congas into a song for me, I'm out. Okay. Congas are just
that goes Santana on, either, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that goes on to like, a Santana record or Tito Puente or something like that. It's not for a Kiss record. So I have to go with 1,000,000 to 1.
That stuff doesn't bother me at all.
She? Doesn't that have? Oh, that's the Wicked Lester version.
Yeah.
All right, Daniel, 1,000,000 to 1.
Yeah,
wait, what was your vote, Mark?
It was 1,000,000 to 1.
Oh, darn it.
So I'm the tiebreaker.
You're gonna break the tie.
The riff in Almost Human is great. I like the theme. So it's a cool song, but it's not as good as the previous one on Destroyer, God of Thunder, or I think it's a weaker Gene, evil song, and Unholy is better, War Machine. So I think it's a cool Mean Gene song, but it's not in my top 3 or 4 Mean Gene songs. On the other hand, the Paul Stanley song, I mean, he was on a roll. I mean, I Still Love You, 1,000,000 to 1, Thrills in the Night to a lesser extent, maybe Who Wants to Be Lonely, maybe these songs that almost are ballads, but really not. Power ballads, but really guitar-driven songs. He managed to put out quite a few great ones, and I love the way this one sounded on his solo tour back in, I think it was 06, 07 or something.
Oh, yeah.
He still managed to sing it, and really great live. Unfortunately, it was never. I don't think it was ever done by Kiss live, was it? I mean, I don't think so. Such a missed opportunity. The strength of his voice in this song blows me away completely. So I have to go with 1,000,000 to 1, even though I like the other one as well.
Yeah, no wonder his voice went. I mean, imagine if he was singing "Every Time I Look at You," 1,000,000 to 1, and I Still Love You in the same set.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
the poor guy gave it all to the fans vocally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm glad he did that in Magic Touch in 2006, and that we actually got to enjoy it live and hear hear it again. It was a real treat. All right, one more.
Yep.
And then we will wrap up and just leave the last few for final round 2 episode. And it's gonna be, hey, I said it, Magic Touch.
Mm-hmm. That's another great power ballad.
Oh, let's see how great it is versus Arthritis. Magic Touch versus Larger Than Life.
Oh,
Larger.
okay.
That's just like the last matchup in a way. Mark, get us started. Magic Touch or Larger Than Life?
Yes.
Wow, this is actually kind of tough because I love Dynasty, okay, and Magic Touch is really one of those songs that I think Paul doesn't get enough credit for. I think it's a really good song, but I have to say that Larger Than Life is one of those songs that when you first hear it on side 4, you're like, wow, this is Gene kind of back in his element. It has some bombastic drumming, it has some great guitar riffs in it, and it has those kind of Gene lyrics that we came to expect at that time period. Talking about his love is larger than life. What he's always hinting at when he talks about that kind of stuff. Now, Magic Touch again has some great elements in it. It has a great production to it, but for some reason, my heart is telling me to go with Larger Than Life on this one because I just think it has a bit more oomph to it. There's a bit more power to it, and it hurts me to let Magic Touch go, but I'm going to go with Larger Than Life.
Nice pick. Daniel.
Listening to the production of Dynasty, I think Magic Touch could have sounded a bit better. But once again, it is a great example of Paul Stanley's power ballads. And I know, if I remember correctly, I think Julian hates this song. But Larger Than Life, I think side 4 of Alive 2 is kind of a throwaway for me. All American Man is a great song, but the rest I really don't go back and listen to a whole lot. No, I think I would have rather seen a complete live side at the end of Alive 2, instead of those songs, and maybe saving All American Man to the next album and get rid of the rest. Larger Than Life was never a favorite, so I have to go with Magic Touch, but I do have a feeling that Ken will put Larger Than Life through to the next round.
Why do you think I went to you next? So at least your vote.
You have a feeling.
Your vote would count for a minute. I mean, Larger Than Life is basically the same song 3 albums in a row. On Destroyer, Bob Ezrin uses a Paul Stanley song to write Gene's theme. Then you get Almost Human, which is Gene trying to write Paul Stanley's Bob Ezrin song for himself, but he nails it with Larger Than Life. He really dials in a good song in character. All right, Ken, which one's going through? Magic Touch, which I don't hate. I just think it's too high a key, or Larger Than Life.
Well, for me, it's Larger Than Life. I do like Magic Touch a lot. I think it's
Didn't
a great
see
song.
that coming.
But no, you didn't see that coming. But Larger Than Life with the riff, the production, the great Bob Kulick guitar, solos and going on to that, and the drumming, the drum sound from Peter Criss, whole thing's great, and the great Gene vocals. So it's a classic. I wish they would play that. I wish they would have played that live. Seriously, really, I think that would have gone over well. It's a really good song.
All right, Larger Than Life goes through. Let's call that the show for today, but I'll just give you a recap of all these matchups. All American Man versus Tough Love. All American Man is through. Let Me Go Rock and Roll versus Strutter. Strutter rightfully marches on. Ladies Room versus God of Thunder. Ladies Room For shame. Kissin Time versus Talk to Me. Kissin Time. I had nothing to do with these votes. This is all on these guys. Shandy versus All for the Glory. Eric Singer, Get Some Love. Exciter versus Time Traveler. Time Traveler's left for the box set where it should be. Exciter's through. Unholy versus War Machine. Unholy. Tears Are Falling versus Who Wants to Be Lonely. Tears Are Falling through. God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too versus Lover All I Can. Lover All I Can. Take Me versus Saint and Sinner. Take Me goes through unanimously. Killer versus No gets no. Killer through. King of the Mountain versus Mainline. King of the Mountain. Almost Human versus 1,000,000 to 1. 1,000,000 to 1. And finally, if you weren't paying attention, Magic Touch versus Larger Than Life. Larger Than Life is through. So we've got enough.
Someone is
That's not the dog.
Is that a saw?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, someone's cutting down sawing down trees over here.
Chainsaw.
Sorry about that. I didn't know that was getting picked up, but I guess it is.
Chainsaw
That was fun.
Charlie.
I mean, there were some really tough picks there, and you just don't know what's going to come up. I mean, that last one, Magic Touch is just way too high. It's a great song. I didn't enjoy that as much on the Live to Win tour as I thought I was going to. 1,000,000 to 1 really worked on that. So those are the picks. You know, avatars don't get arthritis. Well, avatars don't exist yet, so we're not worrying about anything to do with avatars because you've only seen a 2-minute commercial, and that's all that exists about avatars at this point. You don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what it's going to be. I can't get mad at something that I don't know anything or enough about yet, so I can't pass judgment on it. All I know is that 2 weeks on from the end of the road ending finally, I'm still enjoying the moments that I had in New York City. And I love getting back with these guys and talking about the music. That's always going to be an important part of our lives. I want to thank everyone for chiming with your comments today, many about the show, many about the topic at hand. We appreciate you taking the time to join us and to participate. It makes the show more fun for us all. Man City just blew a win against Crystal Palace, which makes me very happy. So for everyone out there, I want to thank Daniel, Mark, and Ken. We will see you next time. But for now, that's it. We're out. Get back to your weekend while I monologue on a little bit looking for the outro. Take care.
Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.